The Pearl of the Soul of the World by Meredith and Pierce. Chapter 3, Weaselhounds. She lay in darkness, curled around the light of the pearl. If she stayed very still, then perhaps the horrible tangled string of senseless images evoked by Brandel's song would not return. The pin behind her ear throbbed still, though the worst of its pain had passed. She was still afraid of the shadow, here in the dark, but the terrible rhyme frightened her even more. Exhausted, she dozed. A scuffling sound brought her sharp awake. How long had she slept? She had no way to tell. Her legs were cramped to numbness, her stomach tight, mouth dry. She was shivering so hard her jaw ached. Something moved beyond the bend of the narrow tunnel, in the narrow tunnel. Terror seized her for a moment as she realized it must be the shadow. Then Maruha came around the curve of the tunnel, a finger lamp flickering upon one hand. "There you are," the Duro exclaimed. "I had nearly despaired of ever finding you, you strange girl." The pale girl stared at her, tense and frightened still. She laid one hand over the pearl, hiding its light. Maruha drew closer, carefully, as though afraid of startling her. "Colum and Brandel swore they'd no notion why you ran off, but I got it out of them in the end." The Duro laid her hand gently on the pale girl's arm, and when the Upperlander did not bolt, she seemed glad. With a puff, she sat, obviously weary. "That fool Brandel and his barding. He should know better than to sing of the sorceress war in front of you." The girl felt a breath of reassurance pass through her. Maruha would not recite the horrible rhyme that made the pin ache so. She felt safe now that Maruha had found her. "And with the witch's pin in your head, you doubtless know more of the grim conflict than we. How much of what we say do you understand, girl?" The little woman eyed her closely. The Upperlander shifted uncomfortably, looked away. She did not want to understand, dared not. In a moment, Maruha shrugged. "No use asking, I suppose. If only you could talk." She patted the pale girl's arm. "Here, child, are you hungry?" She fished in one of her many pockets and drew out a square cake that smelled of honey and pungent dram. "It's been 10 hours since you ran away." She broke the cake and held up one half to the girl, who snatched it from her. The dense stuff tasted sweet and tart, but her mouth was so dry she could scarcely swallow. Maruha's little skin water bag had come out of another pocket in the sark. The girl wanted to reach for it, but hesitated, unwilling to remove her hand from her breast. "Child, what are you holding?" the Duro asked, settling down the water bag and kneeling closer. "Will you show me?" The Upperlander drew back. The pearl was her secret, its wan glow visible only in near total darkness. Not even the bird had known she had it. The terrible black bird that had a sharp twinge behind her ear warned her away. Hastily, she shoved the almost memory aside and stared at the Duro. Surely she could trust Maruha. Slowly, she drew back her hand. Beneath the yellow fabric of her gown, the clear blue light shone constant white. The Duro gasped. "What is that? Did you find it here in the caves?" The girl shook her head, making bold to follow the other's words, and a little now the Duro reached for the pearl. "May I see it, child?" The Upperlander's hand clasped down again, covering her treasure. "Mine," she garbled. No words came out, only fragments. Maruha drew back. "Very well, child, I'll not disturb it. But I've never seen the like. You never found it in these caves, I'll vow. Had it with you all along, I'll wager, and we never even noticed." She lifted her fingertip from the floor and held it up so that its strong dancing light drowned out the pearl's cool, gentle one. The red-haired Duro got to her feet and brushed the cave grit from her trousers distractedly. She donned the finger lamp again. "Wonders upon wonders," she murmured. "Who are you, girl?" But the Upperlander could not answer. Already the sense of the other's words were fading. She could no longer follow. A fog covered her thoughts. She was very tired. Maruha pulled her to her feet. "We had best get back. I left those two fools at camp, though they wanted to help me search. I told them they would as likely fright you away again as find you." As Maruha stared down the corridor, the pale girl hesitated. "Come, all's well," said the Duro, turning. "I've forbidden Brandel any more barding. He won't frighten you again." She let Maruha draw her away down the dark and narrow hall, and we will pause there.